Hey, Bucs fans, Brent Allen, your host here. Welcome to the InstantCast for the Rams at the Bucs game for the 2016 season. And, yeah. So what'd you guys think? What did you think? For me right now, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday, and I know you may be thinking that's not very much of an InstantCast. I actually didn't get to start watching the game till probably about 11 o'clock last night, maybe 10:30 or so. I was traveling a lot of the day on Sunday. For my work, I travel, and I had a big show on Saturday night that went really late, and so Sunday was actually a travel day, and I had some delays and different things like that, so I didn't get home until pretty late, and got to watch the game last night, and I thought about doing this instant cast right after the game, but I was so tired. And so let's just say this: I was not amped up by that game. I was not energized by that game. So I had to go to bed, and here I am in the morning, and it's still fresh for me. This game is still it's still fresh, and so let's talk about it. Now, just for those of you who are new to the podcast, the InstantCast is this is where I really just kind of get to share my immediate thoughts coming out of the game, and it's a little bit shorter than what our main episode is going to be. Well, that'll come out later this week, but I've not done any press conference watches. I've not read any articles. I've not, just trying to keep the integrity of what the InstantCast is. So these are all purely my thoughts. These are not influenced by other people. Coming off the Arizona game, let's start there. Coming off the Arizona game, the title of last week's episode was Recover, 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 because that's what the Bucs needed to do. We've talked about it a lot this offseason and about the culture of this team, where we have a tendency to not be able to recover. Something bad happens. Something just thwacks us, and we have a tendency, whether it's a bad play, maybe it's a missed kick, maybe it's a really bad shellacking of a game. Usually those don't, oddly, those don't tend to carry over too terribly far, but there's just, maybe it's a missed catch. There's a play or two in the game where the momentum of the entire game just swings and stalls out the Bucs, and I saw that a handful of times today. And the Bucs, this team has to crack the culture. They have to crack the culture. They have to do it. Now, I will go ahead and say this. I knew going into the game that there was a big rain delay, just because some stuff had come over my phone. I was on a social media blackout for me personally, but there's things that go straight to my phone, little messages, and so I did see that the game was on a rain delay, and someone had mentioned 10-point lead seeming so long ago, so I kind of was going, rain delay with 2 minutes left in the game, and 10-point lead blown. So I knew something was off. And then I did see something where Coach Cutter had said after the game that there's a culture issue here around the Bucs. Now, if you've been listening to PeterCast for any amount of time, you'll know that we have been talking about that since episode 1. Since episode 1, we've been talking. In fact, episode number 2 was titled Losing a Losing Culture. And by the way, if you've not listened to that, I would, as soon as this podcast is over, or hell, stop it right now. Pause this podcast right now. Go down in the feed, listen to Losing a Losing Culture. In fact, I may listen to it later today just to give myself a refresher on exactly everything that I said there. However, I'm not going to do that right now. But we have to lose this losing culture. It takes time. It really does, Bucs fans. Changing a culture is hard business because that is turning an entire ship, okay? And I'll tell you guys this right now. And people can disagree with me. Other Bucs podcasters can disagree with me. Bucs podcasters that I have nothing but the utmost respect, I think will probably disagree with me. But I'm telling you, the Buccaneers do not have a talent problem. You guys hear me? We don't have a talent problem. We have fantastic talent on this team. We've got great coaching on this team. We have fantastic coaching. We have a great we have probably the best general manager this team has ever seen. And you can say what you will about the Glazers. We have pretty decent owners. Now, they're not loud. They're not boisterous. They're not outspoken. And yeah, sure, we've gone through this run of head coaches over the last 7-8 years that is ridiculous. There's no reason to have to go through that. And we do not need to be going through another head coach here in another year. That is stupid. We cannot do that. But we have decent owners. They're willing to spend money. They're willing to pay players to come here and play. They're willing to do what we need to do. And by the way, the fact that they do get rid of these coaches to get somebody else in here, you could argue that those are brash reactions, and maybe sometimes they are, but they're for the betterment of the team. They're not willing to just allow the team to wallow in misery. They're looking for the right person to pull us out of this culture, out of this muck, out of this yuck. They found Tony Dungy, who helped pull us out. Now, why they ever got rid of Dungy and pulled in Gruden, I'm not sure. I was only a Bucs fan for maybe. Well, no, yeah, I was a Bucs fan for about 4 years under Dungy, maybe 5 years under Dungy's leadership. I never understood. I think with a lot of you guys, we just didn't understand it. I know they wanted a Super Bowl win, and that was kind of the reason they gave. And you know what? Gruden was a great coach to bring in. He really was. But as soon as that Super Bowl went down, we just kind of went on this roller coaster of mediocrity under Gruden. And since Gruden, we've sucked. This team has been horrible. I think I heard a stat the other day that said that we've only won 17 games since John Gruden was the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Y'all, we fired John Gruden in, what was it, 2008? So 8 years? 8 years and we've won 17 games? Are you serious? What is that? That's 2 games a year. We're averaging 2 games a year. Now, that can't be right. That can't be right. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe if you divide it by 7. Maybe it's been 7 years. You can't count this year, right? Okay, that's a little more than 2 games a year. Like, oh my word. Oh my freaking word. Okay, let's talk about this game. Bucs go out. Rams coming in. Rams are, they're hungry. They're hungry for a win. And we saw some great stuff. Let's give credit where credit's due. We saw some good stuff in this game. We saw some. Now that opening touchdown that the Rams got, where Werner got beat. I mean, Werner had bubble gum on the bottom of his shoes. I don't know what was going on. He just got beat, absolutely beat. Charles Sims comes in. The offense comes in, and here's the thing. I have vocally said that I'm worried about Charles Sims. A lot of people have said this. Charles Sims is not Doug Martin. Charles Sims is not going to be able to run the way Doug Martin runs. And you know what? I thought Charles Sims had a nice game. The number of times I'm sitting on the couch and go, Chuck, he had a good game. He was breaking tackles. He was hitting the hole. He was finding ways to get around guys. Now, he certainly is still not a Doug Martin. But, Charles, and I had this thought, Doug Martin's he's not quite a 3-down back. Doug Martin's like a 1-2 down back, right? And then we bring in Chuck for the 3rd down. Charles Sims, I thought, did a good job being a 3-down back. I thought he did great. Okay, not great. I thought he did pretty damn good. I really thought he did pretty good. And then they come out, and then Quan gets a pick 6. And it's hard to even fathom it. I went back, I probably watched that play, 3 times. And Quan didn't move. From the snap of the ball, Quan just stayed with his feet planted. The play developed literally around him, and then he just watched it, and he moseyed. He He moseyed in front of the ball and caught it and took it in the end zone for a touchdown. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this, and this is absolute truth. When the defense starts scoring points, I've said this, when the defense starts scoring points, look out. Because we will be a contender team. Now, here, you can say what you want to say about this game all day long, Bucs fans. We competed this game. Now, I'll tell you what we didn't do is we were not consistent this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were not. They didn't play with the same intensity all game long. They took off the third quarter, is what I thought. They took off the entire third quarter. Maybe the last little bit of the second quarter. But they took off an entire quarter. They only played 45 minutes of football. They did not play 60 minutes of football. And this team was inconsistent with their intensity throughout the game. But this was a great moment. Great time. You know, Quan had really a down week last week. Really just a down week. And he came back roaring. And this is why Quan Alexander is one of our better players. And it makes me say this again. We don't have a talent problem on this team, fans. It's not a talent problem. This is a culture problem. And then Aguayo goes out and misses a kick. Misses the extra freaking point. Now, I'm going to say this loudly. Hashtag I'm with 19. But what the buck? All right, this is a clean podcast. I can't cuss. What the buck? I might be taking Derek Fournier's podcast name in vain here. But what the buck? Seriously. Aguayo. Okay, listen, son. I'm going to tell you this right now. I have been your biggest supporter. Since the moment you were drafted, I've been one of your biggest supporters. But, man, you got to make those. And then you missed a field goal later on. You got to get your head clear. You have to. There are some who will tell you that this game switched on the kicks. If we get those 4 points back, the field goal and the extra point, and it changes plays that we call later in the game. We're not calling for 2-point conversions all the time. We're not calling for touchdowns having to go forward. We're actually going to get the field goal. You've got to have your kicks consistent. And hey, listen, this is his rookie year. We can look at stats all day long. And we can show how the best kickers in the NFL had really crappy first years, had not great first years. So that's why I'm going to still ride the hashtag. I'm with 19. But what the buck, dude? You got to get it. You just keep working on it. And I'm not saying anything that Roberto Aguayo is not saying to himself. I'm not saying anything that Roberto Aguayo's coaches aren't saying to him. But he's got to get it worked out. Now, I'll say Roberto Aguayo kind of made up for it on the next play. Where they had the kickoff and the guy ran it back for like 40 yards and Roberto Aguayo was the one who wound up making that tackle. Now, I don't know why he got 40 yards back in the first place. I don't know why he was even that close to Roberto Aguayo for Roberto Aguayo to make that tackle. But Roberto Aguayo did stop him. He did get the tackle, so good on him. And then Levante, let's talk about Levante on defense. I thought he looked, coming off of a week where he didn't even hit the stat board. He had a bunch of tackles. I saw he had. I just thought he looked great. He had a big sack right there. So yay for him. And then coming back with the offense, you know what they did was they moved into their no huddle. And this offense looks great in their no huddle. There's a rhythm they get into. I don't know exactly what all I can call it, but the no huddle for this team works. And I'm not saying we should turn into Chip Kelly's offense. I'm not saying that at all, but it seems to work. It gets us out of a deal. Now we can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. Jacquizz, I want to talk about Jacquizz for a minute. Jacquizz Rodgers comes in, he gets 5 consecutive touches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he gets 2 first downs out of it. That is fantastic. Fantastic. I loved seeing that come in. Cam Brate got a big touchdown on 2 passes. Who needs ASJ? Now, hey, listen, fans, hang on because we're going to talk about ASJ, I think, in the main episode. I was going to do a bonus content episode but I think I'm going to save him for the main episode. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about that situation. But my note that I had when I saw that was, who needs ASJ? Who needs him? I don't know. Gerald McCoy comes up big in the second quarter. You know what I loved about Gerald McCoy? And you can say, people can blast him all he wants. And I say this, Gerald McCoy gets double teamed all the time, and it's hard to do anything when you're getting double teamed all the time. He's the guy that other coaches game plan for, especially with Robert Ayers out. They're still game planning. And you know what? There was a big stop on third down when GMAC just said, I don't care if I'm getting double teamed, I'm getting through. And he turned his shoulders 90 degrees and he busted through the double team and came up with the stop. Okay, that's the kind of intensity we're looking for, Bucs fans. That's the kind of intensity we need to see them playing every single play of the game. We have to see it. Will Golston, I want to talk about him. Will Golston is a guy that a lot of people are down on. They kind of give him this kind of mediocre status, but I got to tell you, I like the guy. I really, he had a couple really nice plays. He had a couple stops. He had a couple tackles. He got in the backfield a few times this game. And I really liked him. Now, can I tell you somebody that I'm not very high on right now? And that's a guy that I share my own personal name with, Brent Grimes. I'm liking him. I'm less and less and less impressed with him as the season goes on. I was super impressed with him through training camp, watching him there, but I am less than impressed with him as the season goes on. So yeah, I don't know. Third quarter, the Bucs they took off the quarter. They just didn't play. That's all it was. Now the fourth quarter came out, and I'm looking at my notes, and I had more notes for the fourth quarter than I do any other quarter, and I'm not going to read them all to you. That's not what we're here for. But I tell you what, the fourth quarter, so we go into the fourth quarter and we're down. We lost a 10-point lead. They came back with 20. We lost a 10-point lead and went down. What was it? 11 points, I think it was. We went down 11 points by the end of the third quarter. And so now we're down. And you know what the fourth quarter showed me? Okay, fans, let's talk about this because this is good. The Bucs fans have the Bucs team has tenacity. They fought, they scrapped, they came back. They got themselves into a good position. On a kickoff, they went down there, they trusted their defense. The defense put them into a good position for the offense to come back and score to end out the game. Rain delay notwithstanding, I'm not going to blame that at all. You can't blame the rain delay. Now, it might have halted some momentum, and that's probably very true. And we got into two situations, fans, where we were, what was it, about 5 points down, I guess, maybe 6 points down. And in both of those situations, we wound up having to go for 2-point conversions. And and that made a whole lot of sense, right? Because if you go for the extra kick, then you're 4 points down, which means you have to go for a touchdown. If you go for the 2-point conversion and you miss it, then you're down 5 points and you still have to go for the touchdown. So whether you miss it or not, it doesn't affect you because you still have to have a touchdown. If you get it, then all you need is a field goal. So it was a good decision on each time for them to go for the 2-point conversion. Why we couldn't convert either time, I don't know. And that's going to bring us to Jameis. Now, guys, listen, I'll tell you what, Jameis, there were times when Jameis was really good today. And there were times when Jameis was not good today. He was not consistent. And I've seen a handful of people saying, if you blame this game on Jameis, you're part of the problem. And let me tell you what, I'm going to say that I'm not going to blame this game on Jameis, but Jameis holds a lot of responsibility for this game. Now, he had some really good spots. Really good plays. But he was a part of this problem. And in that last play, and the very last play, Jameis has the ball. The lane is clear. Now, I've not seen the all 22. I don't know what was just out of view of the camera shot, but the lane was clear. Jameis could have trotted it in, as far as we could tell, into the end zone. And he didn't. He just kind of jogged. He slowly walked. Jameis didn't come up with the big play that Jameis is famous for. The famous Jameis, he didn't come up with that big play. That's on him. And I'll tell you what it was, is Jameis is too worried at this point. He's too worried about getting other guys a chance to make a play. Now listen, getting guys opportunities to do things it's all well and fine, but when the game is on the line, you have to tuck the ball and run. You make the play. You tuck the ball, you run, you make the play. When the game's on the line, it's on you. You're our star. Jameis is the star of this team. And he has to make that play. That's on him. That's on him. So guys, here's the thing. Missed kicks cost us this game. This is the importance of having a clutch guy. And you know what? It's okay to give Roberto Aguayo a little bit of time, to make these, because we can look at the statistics of great kickers, and they tend to not have great first years. They have mediocre first years. Okay, let's let Aguayo have a mediocre first year. But this just goes to show us the importance of having a clutch kicker. We have to have one. Jameis cost us this game. He cost us this game by trying to give people too many chances. Why he went to Vincent Jackson, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and Vincent Jackson couldn't come up with the ball. I think he caught it once. I mean, yay! V-Jax caught the ball. Yay! But he kept going to Vincent Jackson several times in a row when the game was on the line. Now, that would have been huge for V-Jax to get a catch in the end zone when the game's on the line, build his confidence back up. That's great. That's fine. I don't give a flying rip about Vincent Jackson's confidence when it comes to winning and losing the game. All right, you do that in the middle of the game when you've got time to do other stuff. You don't do that when you come down here to the end. You put it to the person who you know is going to catch it, or you take it in your damn self. That's what you do. You stop going to V-Jax. You have to do it. Jameis did not have his best night. He just didn't. I think the defense cost us this game by allowing the other team to come back. We had a good 10-point lead. Defense cost us the game by allowing the other team to come back. Now, defense also did some great stuff. Defense put 6 points on the board tonight. It's hard to be mad at them for anything. Offense cost us the game by not coming out and getting the rest of the points. Now, the offense also came back. I mean, you guys understand, we were one play away from winning this game. One play. So here's kind of some final thoughts as I wrap up this InstantCast. I love the fight. I hate the outcome. Shouldn't have gotten into this position in the first place. We should have ran up the score on these guys. They should have been left down. If Cutter is talking about culture and trying to overcome it, I'm going to tell you guys it's about culture. We don't have a talent problem on this team. We have a culture problem on this team. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how good of an individual player you are. If you're carrying bad talent or bad culture into this team, then you have to go. This game was an ebb and flow. We didn't play with the same intensity. We played 45 minutes of football, not 60. I'll say this. This is the game we should have played in Arizona last week. 100%. This is what we should have seen in Arizona last week. The scrappiness. These guys have some good fight in them. Don't get me wrong. They have some really good. They got some grit. They got some fight. Good teams, cultures of winning, find a way to pull out the win. And that's what this team still has to figure out. Listen, fans, we knew Cutter wasn't going to right this ship in a single year. I think we all kind of hoped for it, but it's going to take longer than a single year to right this ship. So yeah. Well, fans, that's going to do it for me for this InstantCast. Those are just kind of some of my thoughts. Those are some of the raw thoughts. They're not super polished at all. Be on the lookout for our main episode coming up later this week. That'll be episode 13, where we'll dive into the game a little bit more. We'll dive into the offense, the defense, special teams. We'll have a brand new top 3 coming out for you, maybe top 5. And we're going to talk a lot about Austin Sperry-Jenkins and that whole role and culture. I think this one's going to be a great episode for culture. So you guys stay tuned. And, in the meantime, go Bucs. Get back at it. Take it easy, Bucs fans.